Okay. I do hope. All right. So a little recap from where we left off last week. We discussed in details the factors that determine a healthy fertility, and so we highlighted these factors: proper circulation, healthy fertility cycle, a balanced hormone, healthy eggs, and healthy fertility organs. Our discussions last week, Sunday especially, would suffice for the first three: the proper circulation, the use of those herbs as discussed. I believe the video has been shared. If you could not open it in the Zoom link that was sent, the video is available on YouTube. So if you go to our YouTube channel, you will find it there. If you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, I think it's something you want to really subscribe to. It's something that you would need. Okay. Where are you? Okay. Sorry, I'm managing two screens at the same time, and it's a bit of a work to do that. Let me see if this comes up. No, it's not. Okay. Uh-oh. That was the switch. I don't know where our screen went. Yeah, we can still see the screen, right? The slide.
No, just the landscape. Storms or
Oh, wow. Please forgive me. I don't know where it went. It just disappeared. Okay, it's back, right?
Yes, it's back.
It's
yes.
back. Thank you. Okay. Okay. So the herbs we talked about, and that's the reason I was like, please, it's a DIY class, but please be guided. If you need help, do reach out. Whatever you try. Again, there's this principle when it comes to this practice. Personally as well, I hardly would sometimes I like people to try out a few things and see how it works well for them before they go full mode into using anything. This is a principle that is going to help you a lot when it comes to trying herbs, right? So don't just go full swing. First of all, try a bit of it. Watch your body reactions to it. How do you tolerate it before you plunge yourself into it, especially if you are not having any guide into how to use these herbs, right? You might react to it. And again, I also don't like people to stay on a particular herb for too long. So once, if there's going to be any reason for you to be on a particular herb for too long, I will always recommend certain tests to be done. Your vitals must be kept in check. Aside from your vitals, sorry, some people are watching on YouTube as well. Okay. I just wanted it posted there to save, and then people are joining on YouTube. Okay, so your vitals are supposed to be checked. We monitor your vitals so that we can actually monitor what is going on from within you. And aside that, I will also advise that you do blood work. I advise this on a periodic basis, not just to see the effect of the herbs that a client is using, it's also to monitor the impact. If it could be working, doing what you want it to do, And God forbid, it's also doing what we do not want it to be, to do. So that is the reason for moderation. Sometimes I ask my clients to come fortnightly. The discussion may not last more than 15 minutes or 10 minutes. What we are doing is a follow-up. I just want to be sure that things are working according to plan. And when they are not working according to our desired plan, we'll find a way to moderate them and arrest them very quickly. Right? So that sense is very important. So don't just plunge yourself into anything without getting the proper advice. But the herbs are what we can use to address proper circulation. We explained that on Saturday, and then we did a full-blown use of those herbs on Sunday, right? Proper circulation, healthy fertility cycle can be helped by the use of those herbs. And then we can balance hormones. So I will talk more about hormone balancing and then having a healthy egg today. Okay, having healthy eggs, because eggs are very important. You will remember that eggs are created or are stored from in the ovaries. This is where this whole process starts from. If somebody is going to be healthy, to be fertile, it is from there we know the quality of the eggs and their quantity. They are the things that determine fertility in a woman. There is nothing the sperm of a man can do when the egg cells of a woman are dead, or they are not fertile or not virile or viable to sustain or carry things through. So we are going to look into a proper breakdown of how this affects the overall health of female sexual and reproductive health. Okay, so where are you? So healthy fertility eggs are the things we will be considering. But let's look at these fertility facts, especially as it refers to the health of eggs, or as it refers to eggs. Everybody has gotten about not everybody, every woman. Men have sperms, women have eggs. So every woman has gotten their eggs given to them from birth. As a matter of fact, at eighth week of conception, that is at the time when fertilization occurs, and then that embryo or that fetus is a female fetus. Upon the 8th week, all the eggs that will be required, they've started forming. That is to say that the eggs that gave birth to you were already in your mom when your mom was in your grandmother. Do I recap that? The eggs that gave birth to you were in your mom when your mom was in your grandmother. So it's the 8th week of conception that the eggs of a woman are formed. So you see the reason the FASH boot camp is important, not just for our male kids, but also for our female kids, because the usefulness, the resourcefulness of these eggs, though at that tender age, may not be known until they get into their reproductive years. But everyone has gotten their eggs right from that tender age, even before they came out and cry as a baby. So every woman has gotten between 2 to 3 million eggs, some people 1 million eggs, and that is all that they will have throughout their entire lifetime. The eggs will begin to decrease in quantity, that is in numbers, and they will also decrease in their quality, in their viability with age. So the older you become, the less viable the eggs become, and the lower their numbers they become as you age. As a matter of fact, by the time you enter into puberty or your reproductive years, what you are left with are between 300 to 400,000 egg cells. And so that is what you'll be left with. And that is what you have to deal with before you enter into menopause. Okay? The eggs are released during ovulation as they are received from the ovary into the fallopian tube through the fibria. You remember that brush-like thing? Don't forget it. I always talk about it. And I think it's here, right? So this is the ovary where the eggs are produced, and then they are released during ovulation. Now, when there is ovulation, it means that one egg has been released into the stream, and all the other eggs will be clapping for that egg. Go and produce a baby. Go and score a goal. That is the intention when they are leaving the ovaries. And so from the ovaries, the fibria will receive it and push it across the fallopian tube, where fertilization is expected to occur if there is an unprotected sex, and if there is a release of a viable sperm as well. It is not all sperms that are also viable. This process of egg release takes a period of 150 days to reach maturation. Now, this is very important. Now, you have your period, your normal cycle, 28, 25, 30 days. But every ovulation takes 150 days, because that is a process where the egg cells are released. For one egg cell to be released through the ovaries, it has taken 150 days to develop in the ovary. That process we will explain a bit in the next diagram. Okay, so once the eggs get into the fallopian tube, sperm cells can fertilize it, implantation takes place in the uterus, and then the baby begins to form. If there is no fertilization, the egg cell is shed alongside the endometrium lining, blood, cervical mucus, some vaginal discharge in what is known as menstruation, because no goal was scored. That egg was just a waste of exercise, and then everything is shed across the lining of the endometrium in what is known as menstruation every month. And so if a goal is scored, that is, fertilization happens, there will be no menstruation. It means that in the endometrium lining, something is being implanted, and then the endometrium begins to increase also in its own cells, in their quality and quantity, to form what is known as the placenta that will begin to feed that new fetus. That is going to happen. But if that does not happen, if there is no fertilization, then it's going to drop, everything is going to shed, another cycle will begin. Now, there are two cycles we're talking about now. The female cycle and the cycle for ovulation. The cycle for ovulation is about 150 days. We will see it in this diagram. Look at it here. Now, this is what happens in the ovary. This happens here in the ovary. This cycle involves the release of egg. This cycle, once it is completed, an egg is released during ovulation. The egg is passed through. If there is no fertilization, it is dropped. That marks the end of a cycle, generally. Of course, the end of every menstruation is the beginning of a new cycle for every woman. But for the production of egg cells, their own cycle is 150 days. It's not the 28 to 30. It's 150 days. Now, if you look at this cycle for the female, for the egg cells to be released, if you look at it at the base, I hope you can follow where my arrow is pointing at. If you look at it at the base, but do I have to screen share at the same time? Okay, that's good. I wish I could just take this out, but it's okay. I will work with this, because this will have allowed me to focus on the screen. At the base of this, you have several egg cells. You can see them there, several egg cells. It's like a pool of egg cells which are there. And then the journey begins. Which egg cell is going to mature that will be released towards ovulation? This journey is a journey of 150 days. There are 2 points here that I want you to note. That is when it gets to 90 days, day 90 and day 20. Day 90 and day 20. There are women who have been told they cannot have a baby of their own because of the quality of their eggs. And it does look like there is nothing medical science can do to help them. So they refer them to do IVF. Again, there is a serious and strong campaign for freezing egg cells. This is advocated for young women who are still very active, and their egg cells are considered to be still very viable. and then they have no plan of getting married in 10 years, in 15 years, or in 20 years because of reasons obvious or known to them. So what they advise them to do is to harvest their egg cells and freeze them, then they store them up. So when they now want to get pregnant, when they are ready, maybe after they have gotten all the billions they want to get, or after they have found Mr. Right, they now want to have a baby, all they just have to go is to call for the bank and tell them to put back the egg cells, and then there is fertilization. A baby comes, right? They can freeze it. Now, for women who do not have who have the problem of having quality of viable egg cells, maybe because of age or whatever, certain things can be done, and what can be done can best be done or can best be maximized during the day 90 and day 20 of the formation of quality eggs. What I always advocate is this: some people just want to use certain things, and after 1 month, they are looking to get pregnant the following month. Yes, it works that way for some people. I've shared some testimonies with you here about some people that 1 month, the next month, they just got it. And some people have not gotten it, and they've been on it for 6 months. Right. So it is a question of consistency. The minimum time I will recommend is 90 days, which is 3 months, which you have to do consistently the things that we have talked about here, especially those things we discussed last week and the upper week. The upper week, we spoke a lot about the diet and a few things that should be there in our diet. I will still talk about that for diet tomorrow. When we're talking about fibroid, we talk about the diet. Those diet for fibroid, like I said last week as well, some of these things are just basic. If you understand the basic foundation, there are things that can be applied to several of the conditions that could affect the female sexual and reproductive health. Okay, so the first thing we want to talk about. I don't know what is going on. A lot of people are joining on YouTube, and that's not the intention. Except maybe they already have the button clicked, like a notification. Whenever we come on YouTube, they join. Okay, so this is what happens between that day 90 and day 20. A lot can be achieved to increase the quality of the eggs that are being produced or being matured through this cycle. So after day 20, a lot of the unchosen eggs will be dropped, and then one egg that that qualifies makes it through that cycle through ovulation, and during ovulation, the egg is released from the ovaries, like what is here is released from this ovary down into the fallopian tube, where fertilization is expected to happen. What happens for some women is that the quality of eggs coming from here is so poor. Some of them are so weak. Now, let me explain the part of weakness. Now, when these eggs are being received by the fibria from the ovaries, sometimes some eggs cannot even swim through the fallopian tubes. The guiding and the swimming, some will even swim, they will miss the sperm cells, because it's like a magnet. There are two ends of a magnet that must match. So every egg cell is guided by the DNA and the RNA sequence, which are instruction codes embedded in every egg cell. You know, the human egg cell is not like the egg yolk of the chicken or fowl that you eat. Those ones may not contain any serious genetic information or genetic sequencing. The one for the human eggs contain a whole lot of information are embedded in the egg cells. So one of the things that the RNA does is to guide these eggs towards the sperm, so that the right side that should connect with the side of the sperm will be the one that will be channeled or faced towards the cell. It is an high energy driven event that takes place. It's like somebody who is swimming against the tide. Now, there is a mucous environment stimulated within the fallopian tube, within the uterus, that allows the easy passage and the easy swimming of the sperm cells. Some sperm cells are also weak. If they are not strong enough, they won't be able to swim and get to the point where they will meet the egg cells to fertilize them. If the egg cells too are weak, they won't be strong enough to swim up. You can see this is a curve. So this swimming goes like this. So they are swimming, climbing a hill. The sperm cells are swimming upward, also like they're climbing a hill. So that is one ordeal that must be passed by both cells, the sperm cells and the egg cells. Now, this energy-driven activity is powered by the mitochondria, which is in every cell. Every cell has gotten the mitochondria, which I call the powerhouse. Now, to help the mitochondria, there is this supplement I always talk about, CoQ10, ubiquinol. You want to use that if you are actually planning on fertility and on getting pregnant. CoQ10, it's very important. What does it do? It helps to empower and increase the energy level of your egg cells, both male and female. The man should use it, the woman should use it as well. Even if anything has not been diagnosed, those men don't go for diagnosis to check themselves if they are the problem. But these are the few problems that could happen even for men. So men, the motility of their sperm cells being very poor, very low. Why? They are weak in energy. The energy level is very low. And when that happens, it becomes difficult for the egg cells to swim across to the point where fertilization can happen. All right. So having explained that, I want to talk about those factors that can affect the egg health. One is circulation. Two is oxygenation. We spoke about this last week as well, that one of the things that we want to achieve through the therapies that we talked about, the femoral, the massage therapy, the use of the herbs, cleansing of the liver, is to achieve circulation. Circulation of what? The flow of blood around the uterus, around the female sexual reproductive system entirely. Circulation of blood will include the quality of blood that is being passed into the system. Number one, they must be clean. They must be devoid of excess estrogen or other hormones that will interact or disrupt the usual process that is going on within the system. Oxygenation is the release of oxygen. That is, the blood themselves, as they are going in, they must be properly oxygenated. I said, okay, sorry, it's not in this class, but if you have followed us for a while, you will remember what we talk about oxygenation, what we say about it, because the human body requires that oxygen to carry out several functions, and then they must give off carbon dioxide. And in this class, we will look at what to do to achieve proper oxygenation for a healthy egg health. Hormonal balance must be sustained. Nutrient, that is intentional feeding. What are the foods that you are eating taking into your system? They can affect the health and the viability of the egg cells. Cell energy management, of course, what I just described and explained, that for so many sperm cells and egg cells, they are low in energy. When they are low in energy, it becomes difficult for them to be paddled to the point where fertilization will occur. Stress management is another thing we will look at briefly today. I think tomorrow we will talk more about stress management while we consider the topic on PCOS. Okay. All right. So let's deal first with circulation. So how do we achieve circulation? Number one is through rehydration. Rehydration is reintroducing water back into your system. Dehydration is at the root of several conditions. Our blood is made up of water. So it is very important. If you want to increase the health of your egg cells, you want to pay attention to your hydration level. Rehydration is replacing water that have been used by you through your daily activity. Your body requires a lot of water, so you need to supply and make sure that you are not dehydrated. Drink enough. And how much is enough? People have suggested 4 glasses of water, 8 glasses of 8 ounces a day. But what I say is this: whatever it is that you are doing, make sure you do not overflood your system. If you overflood it, it's going to be garbage in, garbage out. You'll be going to the bathroom to urinate frequently, probably more than normal. What I advise is don't drown your system. Be strategic in the way you take water. Get a water bottle. I advocate about 2,000 mils a day. That's 2 liters a day. Yeah, 2 liters a day. And how can you achieve that? Grab a 500 milliliter bottle, 500 ml bottle, and then fill it with water, sip on that, and just make sure you replace that water in the bottle 4 times. For me, in a day, you will have achieved that 2 liters of water on a daily basis. So rehydration is the first thing that we want to consider. So take enough water, take good water, take water at room temperature. Water should not be taken always at a very cold or at a very at a very high or at a very low temperature. Make sure your water is at room temperature. Make sure it is clean. Make sure it is water that is free from chemicals, heavy metals. That is very, very important. Some of the heavy metals in water can even affect the outcome of children that are given birth to. Yes, if there is a lot of heavy metals percolating in any egg cell, you will begin to have some neurodegenerative disorder in kids that are going to be born or produced by those egg cells. Fertility herbal therapy, we talked about this a lot last week. So if you missed that class, you can please go get the video and watch it, and then he's going to explain all the things about the fertility herbal therapy. It is basically in about 4 phases: the phase of cleansing of the uterus, the place of cleansing of the liver or helping the liver so that the liver can further detoxify and remove excess hormones and other toxins from the system, the process of detoxifying the circulation, the blood itself that is being circulated, the quality and the quantity, then oxygenation. Those are the 4 things we spoke about fertility herbal therapy last week. So you can refer back to that tape. Fertility massage was also discussed. This can help circulation. Apart from helping oxygenation, it can also help circulation. Yoga, if you are familiar with yoga, it is a very healthy practice that can help the health of the eggs. The second one to yoga is Tai Chi. Tai Chi is a movement, a circulatory enhancing exercise. For those of you that have participated in any of our boot camps and you've seen Dr. Ajayi, you will believe, you will agree with me that Tai Chi enables you to touch every organ in your body. As you're touching your kidney, your liver, everything is being activated. Tai Chi will be highly recommended for fertility as well. Exercise, that is, do not live a sedentary lifestyle. Ensure that you go for a walk, ensure that you run, ensure that fitness is maintained. It has a lot to do with circulation, and then invariably has a lot to do with the quality of the eggs that your body produces. Oxygenation. Now, oxygenation, I always want to liken it, use the word aerobics, which is the combination of the word air and then movement. All right. So oxygenation involves getting proper circulation of oxygen within the system of the body. Most conditions would reverse themselves in an oxygenated or aerobic environment. Most disease conditions will be initiated and thrive in an anaerobic environment. You don't want your body to be in an anaerobic state. You want to always keep it in an aerobic state where proper oxygen flow is maintained. And this can be done through exercise, stomach breathing into your tummy. A lot of us today, a lot of women do that as well. You suck your tummy in, and people have now found a habit of sucking in their tummy. Breathe into your tummy, breathe out, let it come out. That is what is healthy for you. Forget about the size of your tummy right now. Focus on your health first. If you are healthy, then you can work on reducing the size of your tummy. If you are not healthy and you are sucking your stomach in all of the time, you are starving some vital organs within your system. You are starving them of oxygen, proper oxygen flow. You are deoxygenating them. So to properly oxygenate your system, breathe into your stomach, because you are allowing everything in there to exhale as well. Yoga and Tai Chi will also do for oxygenation. Fertility massage will also help oxygenation. Okay. Now, hormonal balance. Now, the body is usually balanced on its own. What distorts the hormonal balance or any balance in the system, number one, will be exposure. Exposure to toxic materials, exposure to xenohormones, We talked about those ones last week, estrogen, and you find those ones in contraceptives, OCPs. You have quite a number of them that are out there. You find some of these products, some of these products also in skincare products, hair products. Some are even ingested as food, and some are given as medication. You want to avoid all of this because one way or the other, they go ahead to distort the hormonal balance. Now, giving rise to much of estrogen and then increasing the estrogen dominance within the body. Once this happens, there will be a problem. The second thing to do is to engage the use of progesterone creams. And the Balance Woman cream that I talked about, yeah, that's a general name, like some people are branded that, but they are all progesterone creams. There's a brand that I talk about mostly, and I say I recommend it these days for women to use. The third thing to do for your hormonal balance is to handle your stress properly. Stress management. We work here in the case of hormonal balance, because when your body is stressed, your hormones are going to be running riot. Of course, there will be a lot of cortisol, adrenaline within the system, and the body, in a bid to mop them up, will mess up with other things that are imbalanced within your body. And when that happens, it affects the quality of eggs that will be produced. You don't want that to happen as well. Okay? And so let's look at nutrients. Two things to note here under nutrients. Number one, engage fertility enhancing food. Engage fertility enhancing food. One of them is the maca root. I strongly recommend the maca root. And there are some other ones that are peculiar to every culture. There are cultures where there are certain things they eat that boost or enhances fertility. I discovered one is called the royal jelly. Royal jelly is what they feed the queen bee on. That is why the queen bee, if you know the bee, the hive, you know that it is the queen bee that reproduces. The queen bee does nothing than reproduction. So what makes the queen bee fertile is the royal jelly. So the queen bee is an ordinary bee picked up from within the population, and then it is fed with, she's fed with royal jelly. So that enhances her fertility and makes her fertile to be able to do that. Royal jelly, yeah. Maca roots, yes. Those are things you can do. Some superfoods and super greens. You can get like the superfood, green superfood, which is a supplement from Nutramis and some other ones like that, which contains a whole lot of nutrients that will not allow you to miss out on any nutrients your body would naturally have missed out on if you are going to derive those nutrients from the food that you eat. There are certain rules that govern our feeding, okay? This will tell us to avoid fertility diminishing foods. A whole list of foods that we say do not eat. Processed food, refined food, fried food. You want to take them out of your schedule. Adjunct foods that have colorings. You want to take them out of your meal plan if you really want to enhance your egg health. One other thing to note is the introduction of omega-3, omega-6 fatty acids, right? The oils are necessary. And how do you get those oils? Avocado. Remember the correlation when we're having the first class, talking about the correlation, identification. Was it in this class? I have too many classes. I'm like beginning to skip them over each other.
It was an hormone balance class.
Hormone balance class? You've listened to it, at least you've heard it once. That we talk about identifying fruits and foods based on the part of the body they look like. You remember avocado, and that the avocado, when you slice it and then you look at the diagram of the baby, of a baby in the womb of the woman, they have a similarity. They look alike. And that tells you that there is something in the avocado that can be helpful to a woman's fertility. And the avocado takes 9 months to be ripe. It takes 9 months for the child to be matured in the womb of a woman. And what is that thing? Is the omega-3, the fatty acids that are contained in avocado. It is necessary. It is needed. You can get it from avocado oil. You can get it from the cold pressed olive oil, and some other foods that are rich in omega-3, omega-6, and omega-9 fatty acids. They will be very helpful. These are intentional introduction into our food if people want to have healthy egg cells. Now, there is this thing called Vitex. Vitex is also a product. It's a very useful product. especially for people who seems to be, yes, last week I was explaining the difference between menopause and people who have a menstrual disorder. One of the things that could happen is people who do not see their period, eggs are no longer being produced. The Vitex is something that can kick it in or jumpstart or help the body to come back to that state. I'll discuss more about that tomorrow when we talk about the PCOS. And then avoid fertility diminishing foods. Like I said, it's a whole list of foods. We call them the dirty dozens. Dirty dozens. Foods to avoid. White foods, refined salt, and all of those foods that can be damaging to your health. They can also affect or impact on the health of the cell. So cell energy management. The only thing we recommend here is the use of CoQ10 ubiquinol, which can help as it's a supplement. It can help to help the mitochondria. The mitochondria is the powerhouse. It's in every human cell. In fact, today before joining this class, I was in a class where we were talking about how to use the mitochondria as a treatment for cancer. So to treat cancer cells, mitochondria can be targeted and can be empowered. Of course, we know that every cancer cell is either producing too much energy or too little energy. And then decay begins to come in. The cell begins to degenerate, right? Some becomes overexcited to the point that they begin to invade other cells and it begins to replicate. The mitochondria plays a huge role in cancer management. Though the other world is not looking into that, but right now the focus is coming to it. How can we use the mitochondria to be a target source to handle cancer? Now, if anything will go wrong with any cell of the body, that is where something will be. I mean, the site of attack in many cases will be, first of all, turn down the power. Like you want to bomb a city and take them out easily. What do you do first? Get their source of energy. Their source of supply. Once you cut off their source of supply, they shut down immediately. You either cut it off or you take control of it. That is why they want to plan a coup. They want to run and take over the barracks. Then they go to the radio station and they make an announcement that we have taken over. It is whoever gets first to the radio station that I mean, giving information. So sometimes what the invader cells, the infectious diseases do, is to shut down the mitochondria. But as long as the mitochondria is still powerful, is strong enough, most likely the cell will have enough energy to overpower and to reverse whatsoever condition is there. Let's talk about stress management and how these can impact on the quality of egg cells. All right. So let me start by saying this. There are lots of, there are many individuals that, number one, by virtue of the job they do, how they manage their stress, it is very unlikely, very impossible for fertility to take place because they work in very high level, energy demanding, stress inducing jobs. That's the way I can best describe the kind of lifestyle that they run. Wake up 10 o'clock, wake up 4 o'clock, go to bed 12 midnight, and they want to have a baby. I've had people that they've had to change jobs so as to conceive. In Nigeria in those days, a few of them in the banking industry, that their bodies could not deal or handle or tolerate effectively the level of stress that their body was being introduced to. The question is, what are the likely things that you can do, right? For one, proper and effective stress management would include identifying the stressor. First of all, identify what is the cause of my stress. What is giving me stress? If you do not identify the stressor, it becomes impossible to remove the stress. If the stressor is there and then you are trying to find some other things, it will keep triggering, it will keep pulling the trigger on the stress in your body. You have to come to a point where you sit down, analyze your life, yourself, your engagements, know what to remove, and know where to say no. Know what you can take, the max you can take, how far you can go, and shut down once you have you've gotten to the peak, and shut it down. In fact, you should not even get to the peak before you shut things down. one thing is certain, that no matter what happens, God forbid, if you are dead, life will go on. You work for a company or an organization where you think without you they cannot survive. If you die today, it's only one day. They will name somebody else to act in your capacity. So there is nothing be selfish. When it comes to your health, be selfish. It's an advice I will give to you. Be very selfish when it comes to your health. It is when you are alive that you can help other people. Now, so after identifying the stressor, remove the stressor. Tactically know what to do to remove the stressor. Number 3, whatever is taking away your adequate sleep, 6 hours a day is a stressor. You want to identify those things. Whatever will not allow you to sleep properly, have 6 hours of sleep, is a stressor. Whatever you think about and you know that it increases the your heartbeat, that is a stressor. Whatever you think, see, talk, remember, once your body beats abnormally, that's a stressor. There are people that they don't even know their heartbeat is changed. Some people, it is like there is an abnormal sign. People breathing and all of a sudden they just they don't know. For every time you do that, there is something, there is a damage. It's like you are punching a particular part in your heart. At some point, when it becomes too frequent, that point of impact is going to react and fight back, right? So you want to really work on stress management. Some of the things we have mentioned earlier would help you to handle your stress management. Talk to a counselor, go for yoga, tai chi, exercise, a brief walk would help your stress management. But I will not always want to make recommendations of what to do without telling people to identify their stressors and get rid of those stressors in order for them to be healthy. One supplement also that can be good to help you with your stress, we call them, not one, a group of supplements that we call adaptogenic herbs. Adaptogenic herbs, they help to adapt your body to manage stress properly, and there are quite a number of them. Ashwagandha is one of them. Reishi mushroom can be adaptogenic also. It could be very helpful in this case. But ashwagandha, I would recommend it as number 1 supplement that you can use. Is a herb, right? One major herb, especially for people who are dealing with issues of fertility. All right. So with these few points of mine is where I hope I'll be able to do justice to this. And tomorrow, as we have the class, we'll deal with PCOS, and I'm going to open enough ground for people to ask personal questions. It's a class. It will be broadcasted live when it comes to the time for the question and answer session. We will